Hello! Today I'm finally bringing you my April wrap-up because I wanted to finish my book that I was reading first, so I could say I finished 3 books in April, even though I definitely only finished 2. I finished this one on May the 2nd, so I was like, that'll do. I wanted to include in this one because the other books that I read in the month were part of the same series, and if you can't guess, those were the last 3 books currently out in the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. I started this one at the end of March. I can't remember how far in I was. I think about 400, and then I finished it at the beginning of April, and I think this was my favourite of the 5. This was such an amazing book. And if you don't know what this series is about, good luck, because it's incredibly difficult, incredibly complex. The overarching 2 kind of storylines are that various people want to claim the Iron Throne, which is the throne for the King and Queen of all of Westeros. So that's the kind of that part. Then there are these things called the Others, or White Walkers, that are coming down from the north as winter is approaching. So yes, it's very interesting, very political, very detailed, very dense, detailed, and it does have some overarching magical elements which I adored. This one has so much going on, it has so many shocking things happen, and it was just genuinely one of the best books I've read this year. Probably the best book I've read this year so far. But yes, I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars, but I would have given it 6 if I could. It was that good, so deep and rich and just beautiful. So after that one I moved on to the only book I actually read only in April. Because the rest of them I started in March and then ended in April, and the other one I started in April, then ended in the beginning of May, so shh. But that was A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin, and this one is reputedly one of the weaker entries of the series, and I do find myself agreeing because it doesn't have the characters that you see as much from in the first 3 books. In the first 3 books you see a lot from the kind of core characters. In this one it's very diverse, you see a lot of characters you don't expect to see, but it was entertaining, especially the Cersei and Jaime chapters. That storyline was amazing. Sansa's storyline in this one was amazing. Having Sansa still there, Sansa and Arya were kind of still in this one, who you do think of as the core characters because they are Stark children and perspective characters from the beginning. So this one was good for that, but a lot of nothing happened. It was a very dull one compared to the others. Not as much happens, and after the Storm of Swords you want to know what happens to certain characters, and they're not in it. So it was tough, but I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it because I enjoy the characters, and I especially enjoyed the Sansa, the Jaime, the Cersei. They were very interesting. So I did give it 4 stars, but that's like a good 4 stars. Solid 4 stars. Just because, compared to the other ones, it was that little bit weaker. And then, I finished this on May the 2nd, but I'm counting it as my April wrap-up because I'm a cheat, and that was A Dance with Dragons, which, honestly, I thought would have been better. I thought it was going to be stronger, but it was massively entertaining, and the ending was just phenomenal. I gave this one a 4.5 stars, and that is mostly because the ending, so much happens at the end, and so much drama, so much setting up for Winds of Winter, and it's really getting ready for a really good next century. This one goes back to a lot of the main characters, the ones you're used to seeing from, and it runs concurrently for the beginning with Feast for Crows, so it worked very well. It was a very good book, and I did really enjoy it, but there is a few things that I wish that had carried on. Something like Bran's chapters just weren't. There was like 3, maybe a few more, but they stopped really early, and I really enjoy Bran chapters. Sansa wasn't in this one. I really thought her storyline had got up to a really good end at Feast for Crows, but Daenerys' storyline in this one was very good. Jon's was... the ending of Jon's in this book was mind-blowing. So it was good. Tyrion's chapters were the absolute boringest. I don't know if that's a word, but most people love Tyrion and I don't get it because his chapters are so dull, I think. But yes, I thoroughly enjoyed it and I have enjoyed the whole series. And yes, so I did read only the 3, but I have read all 5 now. And overall, with all their scores out of 5, I believe I would give them a 94% out of 100 because I gave the first 3 5 stars, then a 4 star, then a 4.5, and that's about 94%. So, very good series. I'm going to pick up Winds of Winter when it comes out. I'm so excited for it, but it's not coming out till next year probably. But yes, I'm very excited to see where this series wraps up. So yes, that is my really small April wrap-up. So that was that. I would say I do have a TBR for May, but I really don't. I have already read one book in May, because after those I picked up something really light. But more on that in my May wrap-up, so there's no official May TBR this time. Just gonna see what I want to read. So that's that. I will see you soon. Goodbye.